Kia ora whānau and welcome to this introductory video welcoming you to 9CL. Who am I? Well, I am Mr. Lloyd and it is my absolute pleasure to be tutoring your son this year at St. Pat's Silverstream. Firstly, a little bit about me. I am an old boy of the college, so there you go. There's me forming the haka to the school as a member of the First 15, and now I have the honour of coming back and teaching science mainly, and I also work in the boarding house, so your son might be seeing me 3 times a week as well, looking after him in the evening. I started teaching 5 years ago at St Bernard's, and now I'm here. I'm what you would call a teacher that is always looking to innovate and change the status quo, and to not make school boring, but to make school fun, engaging, and come up with ways to motivate your son to be the best possible version of the young man God created him to be. So without further ado, today I'm just going to introduce you to a little bit about how tutor classes work here, and some of the things that you need to know and that are really important. You'll also notice that I'm doing this through the media of a video. That is because part of my pedagogy and the way I deliver my teaching methods to my students is through videos. One thing that this has allowed me to do is not only engage with students on their level through media that they are really well versed in, but also to send this video that I'm giving to them, to you guys, the parents, to anyone else that's watching this, that it is relevant for. The other thing is, if I'm speaking too quickly, YouTube allows you to slow me down and even chuck the subtitles on if you don't quite get my funny Kiwi/English accent. So without further ado, let's get started. So as I said, I like to innovate and I like to come up with ways to engage my students to become that best possible version of themselves. Part of that is through what I call gamification, and there will be a separate video, you can follow the link here, and this one here, just explaining a bit more about that, but this is mainly about the tutor time, so we'll go on with that. So, how to play the game of school. There is a number of things that we need to cover, just so you know what to expect as a brand new student at St. Pat's Silverstream. Here is what your fortnight looks like. Not the video game, but the 2 weeks that our timetable operates on. So it looks quite daunting and scary, but I'm going to walk you through it. So here on this side of the column, you can see our day split up into ranks through 1 period. Now I know it's split into 2, but that's for a reason which I'll cover in a second. So period 1, we then have a meeting slot, and you'll see that's where I will see your son in tutor time, or we go to assembly, and on a Thursday there is the opportunity for mass as well. So tutor, assembly, mass in the meeting slot. Then we have break 1, and then period 2, again split into 2, break 2, and then the last period of the day. So we operate on a 90-minute class time. So you will know that each of these is 45 minutes. Occasionally, and this is why we split them, you might have in the middle block a split, so a 45-minute RE followed by a 45-minute with me and science. So what else can this timetable tell you? All of these are codes, so we're going to go through a few of those soon. And in here it tells you the room number, so K10 there, and the initials of your teacher. So I'll go through exactly who's teaching you this year. So we'll start with your core subjects, and we have, for religious education, Miss Whiteford, okay, and she's a W, and if we find RST, there it is, D15, that's where you go, and the Year 13 mentors, who I'll introduce to you soon, they will take you to those classes on the first day. So D15 for RE with Miss Whiteford. With science, lucky me, you've got me as well as your tutor as your science teacher. So we find science on your timetable, it's on Monday there. SCST is the code. That's science and social studies, so that we cover both parts of those curriculums in science. And there's my teaching code, and we're in lab K3. So it's just in Kennedy block. That's what K stands for. D stands for Dowling. All of this will make sense on your first day when you go touring the buildings. And then mathematics. So we find MAT, there we are. D4 again, so you'll be in Dowling block. OC is Mr. O'Connell, who's going to be teaching you maths. English is with Mr. Dowden. So again, we covered him up here. K10, English Social Studies. So they share the Social Studies curriculum with us. So Mr. Dowden there for your English. Physical Education is Mr. Stewart, who is, where's it? PE. Can we find it? PEH, PE and Health. And you'll be over in Dowling 5. So D5 for that one. All right. Now, you'll see some other subjects here. So we've got Jasper, he's doing Māori. So this will be different for every student because you have to pick 2 options. And there's a total of, I think, 8 that you could have picked from. So we'll cover those individually in class as to where you will be for those. But you can kind of work it out now. You'll have Matua Tatana for that and D2. So now we're going to go over some expectations. You now know what you're going to be studying, but some of the keys to doing well here at St. Pat's are expectations of you. So at school, you need to arrive for ranks. Now ranks will be, usually if we go back to our timetable, here you've got the timings as well, top corner here, and you can see that it's here it's 8:30, okay? So 8:30 for ranks, all right? So you need to be here for that every morning, all right? If you are late for whatever reason, whoever's looking after you at home that morning needs to get in contact with the school. Sometimes the easiest way to do that is the email up there, absentee@stream.school.nz. Just your name and how long you'll be away for, and yeah, that's usually enough. You can also go through the website. There's an absentee link and form that you can fill in on the website as well, which I'll cover soon. Also, sometimes you have to go to an appointment during school. We will show you the office, but you must sign in and sign out if you come anytime after ranks. Okay, so if you're a bit late, come straight to ranks and make sure I've seen you. But if not, you go straight to the office and you sign in. If, say, after lunch you need to go to a doctor's appointment or whatever, you need to go to the office and sign out. Okay, so we'll show you all of that, but that's just to make sure we've covered that there. Your uniform, and you'll see here elements of my gamification coming in. Uniform is really important, okay? It's there for a number of reasons. You want to come dressed well to school, okay? We want to make sure that your uniform tells us a few things about you, all right? So can you think about why we want to take pride in our uniform and why we want you to wear it well? I'll pause the video and come up with maybe 3 reasons that I have. Did you pause the video? I hope so. All right, see if you got what I got. Respect for the school, okay? So in my gamification world, we call it the ship. Our classroom is our ship. Respect for the place that you are at, St. Pat's Silver Street. All the people that have come before it, the place that it is, and the place that it will make you, okay? Just covered it there, that those that have gone before us, our ancestors, hugely important, often have formed the people we are today. So really important that we respect those old boys that have helped forge our college into what it is and what it will make us. And finally, it's about a sense of belonging and equality. Now, without those things, turning up to school wouldn't be very fun. Okay, so it's that we're all the same person, we're all belong here, and we all need to do our best. So making sure our uniform is up to standard is really important to demonstrate that. There is one more, and this one is, I guess, the most important one that I see, and that is, if you can't respect yourself, if you don't love yourself, if you don't own who you are, then you will struggle. So that uniform is just that little bit of pride you take in yourself, making sure it looks good, making sure it keeps up together, and you wear it properly. Just shows that you respect yourself as well. Okay, so uniform's going to be a big one for you Year 9s. So don't panic if you're not sure what uniform to wear. We do have 2 types, okay? Formal, which won't be worn very often during term 1 because it is really hot. But the summer polo and shorts is what you'll be in at the moment. But yes, when formal is needed, I will make sure you know. Okay, if there are any issues with uniform, I'm the man you come and talk to. Okay, so uniform, really important, and we'll be stressing that this year. The qualities of an officer. So in the game that I've created for your son in science, I measure his success based on 10 purpose-driven learning words. And those purpose-driven learning words I've coined as the qualities of an officer. And they're the qualities that make a successful person. And you see them there down the right of your screen as you're looking at it. Resilience, focus, curiosity, creativity, trust, enthusiasm, confidence, initiative, empathy, and organisation. Now I'm going to be talking to you, the parents, as using these words to describe your son. Maybe it is that your son is hugely confident in his ability, which is a really good thing. Or maybe it is your son has the brains, he just needs the confidence to step outside his comfort zone and answer a question. It might be, your son is very capable, but when he does get it wrong, he really struggles. Developing his resilience would be a good focus for him. To help that and to add some sort of numbers to how your son is going that isn't based on his academics is weekly notes. Now these are purely based on how they portray themselves in class, and it's all about their work habits. They don't need to be that straight A student, they just need to be that person that gives it their all, that steps outside their comfort zone, that shows initiative, that helps others, shows that empathy, and is always organised and prepared to learn. So they get that grade every week, hence the name Weekly Notes, in every single one of their subjects. And if you're a boarder, you'll even get it for being in the boarding house. And 1 is good, is the best, and 4 is, we probably will follow a 4 up with an email just saying, hey, so-and-so needs to just make sure he sorts it out next week because he's done A, B, and C, and that's not what we want. All right. Yeah, I think that's all I'll say on that at the moment. So the way you get given those is through the portal and through the website. All right. So it's those. Now in the game, I add on stuff to those, so they will not just be getting experience, but they will also be getting. They won't just be getting their weekly notes and obviously their grades for their work and all that sort of stuff. They'll also be getting this stuff called experience. And this is all part of what it is to gamify and to motivate these young men. So there are 4 points that I just want to cover at the moment. And that is, I try to give the boys a real sense of epic meaning and calling, that what they do in class matters, and I will bring that through into tutor time. Development and accomplishment, I want them to feel that everything they're doing is building them up in some way, that giving them a sense of success, and that everything they do, even failures, are really helping them learn and become better people. I also want to empower them to be creative and not just do what is asked of them, but to ask me how they can do it differently, how they can approach a task or a challenge in a new way that hasn't been thought of before. And I want to give them instant feedback, which is really where gamification comes into its own. It's very easy for students to lose motivation when it takes 3 days to get a result back. So this sort of method of teaching allows me to instantly give feedback in these sort of experience points, and that really allows the boys to own their work and to take possession of their learning. If that was a really quick crash course in gamification, there is a video that I linked to before that I strongly recommend you watch first before I sort of go into this, which I cover this in a lot more detail. Here at St. Pat's, we are a BYOD school, so bring your own device, and we have some strict guidelines and sort of rules that we enforce around that. Devices are hugely powerful, but like anything, they need to be taught how to use these very powerful tools. So everyone needs one, and that does come with its own drawbacks. So if you are needing to talk to me, Mr. Dean, who is the Year 9 Dean, or Mr. Graney, who is our Assistant Principal, please get in contact with either of us around this, so we can sort a device out for your son in the meantime. Their emails are here, so you'll see, I should have covered it before, if you ever need a staff's email, it's our surname with our first initial that's on our teaching code, so J. So Graney J, or mine would be Lloyd C, and Mr. Dean's would be Dean S. Okay, so ever need those, followed by @stream.school.nz. So just flicking us some emails if you ever want to talk about device use and how it is used at the school. We'll be going over this with your sons, and they will be bringing home a digital citizenship agreement that you will sign together, just acknowledging that they know they know our expectations around the use of device, the use of the internet, and what they're meant to be used for and what they're not. Okay. So I mentioned it before, there are a number of ways we want to get in contact with you and that you can get in contact with us. So obviously, the first port of call will be the school website or the app. Now, those two things have very similar information on them. They're sort of a fail-safe for each other. For example, recently we had our email client go down, but we still had use of the app, so we sent out an alert to all the parents saying that if no one's emailing you back, it's just because we're having a few technical difficulties at the moment. So I strongly recommend you jump on the Apple Store or the Android Google Play Store, whichever smartphone you have, and download the app. But obviously, if you don't have access to a smartphone, then the website is, again, just as good, has all the same information on it as well. We will be setting up the Quema portal. Now, Quema is what we store all the information on your Sunday grades, their information, our contact details for you, everything that you've filled in for your son goes onto Quema. Now, you have access to certain parts of that, so when I mark his science work, for example, it'll go up onto Quema, and then that will be viewable through their Quema portal. Okay? Now, that is a password and things, and I'm sure you might be sent out an email soon with all those details, and any questions on how to use that that you need answering, again, do not hesitate to get in contact with me. So finally, just some key people. Now, I mentioned a lot of these, but your Year 13 mentors, these two boys I have hand-selected, Zachary and Regan Mellon, are going to be with our Year 9 tutor group this year. They're going to be our boys that we rely on to show us how to be a good Silver Stream man, and they are also two young men that your sons will be able to go to and talk to if they're not too comfortable talking to a teacher. So just so you know who they are, and Regan has a brother in Year 9, so that's quite cool. But both of them are boarders as well, so they really truly know the school, so they're two really good role models for your sons. Our Dean this year, so is Mr. Dean. So Dean is our go-to man. He will be in sort of overseeing all the tutors. And every single Year 9. So if there's anything, that he's the one that sort of makes sure subjects are selected for your son, any sort of issues from home and things like that you want to talk to Mr. Dean about, he can sort those. He's also that sort of resolution man, so if there's clashes between your son and teachers, then he can come in and facilitate those with myself. And he's just that extra sort of next level of person that we can go to as the tutors as well. Mr. Charles is a Year 9 tutor himself, but he's also our guidance counsellor. So he's someone that the boys will be introduced to, and they can go and talk to completely confidentially about anything that they feel they need to get off their chest or just talk about. And finally, our college priest, Father John Walls, he's responsible for the spiritual life of your son in terms of the sacraments and anything to do with the Catholic side of our school and the development of your son in terms of their faith journey with the sacraments. He does Mass every Sunday with the boarders, so that's something that you're more than welcome to come to as well, if you wish. And finally, 2 weeks ahead from now, I've just sort of highlighted a few key dates that you need to get. I know there's a lot of information in this little video. But firstly, on Friday, which by the time this video goes up is in 2 days, is sort of the afternoon will be an opportunity for your son to showcase their athletic talents, or just give something a go. So that's in the afternoon. It's a bit of fun, but it's just to allow our athletics coach to sort of fill some holes in the athletics team, because we've got to come up with some Year 9 athletes, and we haven't really had much exposure to your sons, and some do slip through the cracks in terms of rep teams and things. So if you've got a passion, if you like to throw heavy objects or run really fast, I will be encouraging you to really go hard in these trials. And for the next thing, which is, not the next thing, but the house competition, which I'll talk about soon. On Monday is our first time we need full formal uniform. So when I say full formal uniform, it's blazers, shirt, tie, and Year 9s are allowed to wear their shorts, but they must have long socks with black shoes. Okay, there's long school socks. So I'll talk to your son about that, but just to give you a heads up, that the first time we need formal is Monday, the 3rd, after this weekend. Okay. And as I just alluded to, next Tuesday, the 4th, is the big house competition, where all the boys will know their houses, get involved with those, and try and get some house points. So every event the boys will do will earn them a point. If they do really well at that event, it'll earn them a few more points. So that is won or lost on the participation of every individual. So get behind it. Encourage your son to have a go at some things. All right. So that's me. Again, my email was a few slides back, I think, lloydc@stream.school.nz, and I've given you all of the teachers here if you need to find their surnames. There's mine down there. I cannot wait to go on this adventure with your son and their first year in secondary school. Another load of videos will be coming your way in terms of a science focus. But hopefully this has clarified a few things. And if it has raised more questions, please just email me, and I'll be more than happy to get in contact with you and sort those out. I look forward to meeting you at the parent meet and greet. And I wish you and your sons a fantastic 2020. I can't wait. I'll catch you in class.